Peace. We're in my sunroom. I honestly don't spend enough time in here, but we're gonna change that. So I wanted to share this lovely journal entry. You guys see how awesome my handwriting is? That I wrote. This morning was just intentional. I really want to take a walk. I have a yoga class in a little bit. But I took time to just really sit with myself. And I got a full, uninterrupted, like 7 to 8 hours of sleep last night. And I wrote that will quite literally change your life. I'm feeling refreshed. It's still kind of early-ish. But I also feel very grateful, and I was inspired to write some affirmations. So one affirmation I actually got from The Artist's Way states, there is a divine plan of goodness for me. There's a divine plan of goodness for me. There is a divine plan of goodness for me. And then another affirmation that came to mind is that there is nothing that can separate me from the love of God. And I've heard different healers and energy workers and light workers talk about this, especially, in Christianity or in those religions, but also outside of that. There is nothing that can separate me from the love of God. There is nothing that can separate me from the love of God. There is nothing that can separate me from Source. There is nothing that can separate me from Source, from God, from God's energy, from the Creator of all things. I will never not be separated. I will never be separated. I will never be separated from the universe. I will never be separated from the birds, from the trees, from the animals, the plants. I will never be separated from the universe, from all living things and all living beings. So I want to touch base with the first one. I wrote, there's a divine plan of goodness for me. And if you read The Artist's Way, she also has that affirmation, and then the next one she has is, there's a divine plan of goodness for my work. So oftentimes I like to combine them. There's a divine plan of goodness for me. There's a divine plan of goodness for me and my work. Even if I can't see it, even if things appear to be out of my control, even if things appear to be out of my control, even if things don't go the way that I necessarily plan them to, right? There is a divine plan of goodness for me in everything that I'm doing and everything that I'm participating in. So even if things appear to be out of my control, even if I don't understand it, there is a divine plan of goodness for me. And yeah, that's just like how I've chosen to see the world. I've had a lot of different experiences lately, and they were all fun, and I was able to come out of it very whole and very integrated because I knew that there's a divine plan of goodness for me, no matter what. Even if this isn't necessarily going my way or isn't going how I imagined it, I know that nothing can separate me from the love of God. Nothing can separate me from Source. Nothing can separate me from God. And so in that, God is always going to orchestrate things to work out in my good. God is always working things out to orchestrate in my good. Or, yeah, I basically said the same thing twice. But God is always working things out for my good. God is always orchestrating things for my good. I said, there is nothing that can separate me from the love of God. No sin, nothing. There may be things in my life that distract me or make it harder for me to see or hear God. But nothing and no one can separate me from the love of God. There's nothing that you can do. There's no sin, no shame, no guilt that you can carry that will separate you from the love of God or separate you from the fact that God is orchestrating everything in your good. The illusion is to think that with the free will that my Creator gave me, if I decide to make this decision or that decision, now my Creator will all of a sudden remove their presence from me. Now my Creator will stop blessing me. Now my Creator will stop connecting with me and showing me signs and symbols. And none of that is true. None of that is true. There may be things in this life, there may be decisions that you make with your free will energy that distract you or prevent you from seeing God, from hearing God. But nothing, that connection is always there. That connection can never be severed. If you take time out of your day to reconnect, if you take time out of your day to just remember this affirmation, you'll see it and you'll start to feel it, and those distractions will start to fade, and you'll start to hear God more, and you'll see those signs and those symbols again. You know, we all go through phases in our lives when the signs and the symbols and that connection is strong, and you know, the Wi-Fi signal is lit, and there may be times where the connection is not as strong. You have to just really work into your life and see what's preventing that connection from being strong. But the connection is always there. It can never be severed. That is the illusion. That is the trick. To make you think that the connection can be severed so that you stop connecting intentionally. So you stop praying, and you stop doing your rituals, and you stop acknowledging God. Because you think that because you did this thing, God has removed his presence from you or his love from you. And there's nothing that can separate you from the love of God. All right. And the last affirmation I have, it says, unconditional love is the only truth. Unconditional love is the only truth. Unconditional love is the only truth. And when I took time to write my affirmations, I wrote everything down 3 times. Because that's very important to help it get into your subconscious mind. Repetition is very key in helping to reprogram the subconscious. I wrote that if I can hold the vibration of unconditional love, or just acceptance, right? Understanding, compassion. Acceptance, understanding, and compassion are all elements of unconditional love. If I can always go back to that feeling, that vibration of unconditional love in every moment, and every situation, and every conflict that I'm dealing with, right? It may not be immediate. It may not happen at first. But if I can remember unconditional love is the only truth, and find acceptance for this person, find compassion for the people that I'm spending time with, find compassion for myself in the ways that I might self-sabotage, right? If I can find understanding into the human nature and understand why humans do these things, and how this human experience is playing. So my alarm just went off. But if I can understand that, if I can find these elements of unconditional love, acceptance, understanding, and compassion, and understand that we are just having a human experience, right? And that source is experiencing itself through us. If I can drop the judgment, if I can drop the criticism, if I can drop the shame, if I can drop the guilt, and just remember, find that neutrality point where unconditional love is the only truth. If I can just come back to that, I always win. I always see through the illusion. I always become more aligned with who I am. I always carry the highest vibration in the room. I always carry just the energy of confidence and the energy of high self-worth, because I know that unconditional love is the only thing that matters. Unconditional love is the only truth. So no matter what illusions are playing out around me and what I'm experiencing, unconditional love is the only truth. Acceptance is the only truth. Neutrality is the only truth. Not holding heavy emotions over this experience, over this situation, over this person, or towards myself, but just understanding that this is all part of the game. And the whole point of the game is to get back to that true understanding and that true connection with Source, knowing that unconditional love is the only truth. And then I had to, from there, I got a whole nother download about what love is. And so I went through 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and I wrote it down. And Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. That's going to be a separate video. But love does not control. Love does not even fully mean commitment, right? Love does not require spousal or boyfriend and girlfriend type of demands. Love doesn't mean nourish me emotionally. Love does not mean pay all my bills. Love does not mean be my best friend. You know, the Bible says love is patient, love is kind. So if I can hold those qualities of patience and kindness in every single situation that I'm in, I am always aligned with the highest version of myself. I'm always moving towards my most desired reality because I'm really sitting in the truth and the authenticity of unconditional love without any unconscious desires or motivations. I'm simply existing. I'm simply being and holding that vibration in hopes that we can all just be and not torment ourselves and not torment our minds. So we can see through the illusion and not allow it to just play on how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive the world around us. So we can focus ourselves on like truly growing and evolving. And yeah, all right, I'm gonna get ready.